Hello and welcome back to this week's show of Weighted Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger. My co-host is Craig Stier. And tonight we have a special guest. We have Frank Conti of 27-ounce baseball. And we're here to talk a lot about minor league baseball. Welcome, Frank.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Frank.
No problem. So, Frank, I'm gonna start with today's call up. I believe he's going to start tomorrow. As soon as I noticed this, my son does fantasy baseball, and I immediately called him. I said if you got a pitcher who you can kind of take a chance on dumping. I said, if you can grab Julio, is it Urias? Urias? I don't know. Urias. I said, I'll take a flyer on him. But he was actually claimed already. But anyway, have you had a chance to see him a lot?
Not a lot, but I have seen him. And he's pretty impressive for a 19-year-old. Doesn't act like a 19-year-old on the mound. He has his game face going. He's all baseball business. Pretty impressive for a 19-year-old being in AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers he was on. I mean, he's a lefty, first of all. Anybody that knows me knows I love left-handed pitching. And he was 4-1. I think he had like a 1.10 ERA. I think he had around 40 innings, and he had 45 strikeouts about that. I don't know his numbers exactly. They're not in front of me, but that's pretty much what it is. But the biggest number, and everybody that knows me and talks to me and knows what I do, the biggest number I look at is batting average against, and his batting average against is like a 176, and
right.
That is unbelievable. So
yeah, I mean, what's always impressed me about him was one, he was always much younger than his competition. He was usually 2 to 3 years younger than the average age of the league he was in. That was number one. And number two, being in the Dodger organization, he pitched in what we would call hitters leagues.
Mm.
Yeah. So, California League, Texas League, not as much, but still a hitters league, and of course the Pacific Coast League. Here in New York, I tell Yankee fans and Met fans, I tell them, don't get too excited by pitching numbers from someone pitching, in Tampa or Port St. Lucie. But,
in a Florida State League, no. Don't get too excited about the Florida State League.
But get a little bit hopeful, for hitters that do well there, particularly ones that will hit the power. It's
absolutely
that humid air just holds the ball up. It's, so.
your thing, huh? You know a little bit about the Florida State League is very, very tough to hit and a little easier to pitch. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I've had my heart broken over the years, and it's like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? When I said my heart, basically, you follow, you look. Of course, it's a lot easier to watch minor league baseball today than it was years ago.
Absolutely.
But you would have to, you would really have to scan the cable guides, and you would have to catch one of the ESPN channels at some obscure hour to catch a replay or something like that. It's a little bit easier, but even then, I would follow it, and I always take pride in watching these guys come up. So
yeah.
So
we have
going back.
We have time to talk about some individual players, but I wanted to ask you, Frank, how did you get interested, and at what point in your baseball fandom life did you get interested with your main focus on minor league baseball? Because I find I said to you before we went on, this website is just a terrific site, and I just think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I've been in baseball for 14 years. I scouted with the Royals, and I worked with the Marlins and stuff like that. And I've been when you scout and you work with the younger guys and you work with the minor league system, I noticed that there wasn't enough coverage. on minor league baseball. There was nothing really. Like you said, this is going back 10 years or so, and there is nothing. You know, you can't find it anywhere. I mean, ESPN will have the Little League World Series on. They'll have the College World Series on. They'll have Frisbee and golf and all this stuff on, but they'll never have minor league baseball on. You can't get it anywhere. Now there's MILB TV. It's a little easier, like you said. But so about 5 years ago, I'm working with the Marlins and you know, I'm working with their minor league system, and I said I want to start a network that covers everybody in minor league baseball, not Baseball America that covers only the top 100 prospects, not MILB that covers the big guys like Jonathan Mayo does and the major guys in the draft, which I actually worked with Jonathan Mayo. I had him on my show a couple of times. So I just started with 5 people. Now it's 82 of us, and we cover all minor league. We have someone in almost every stadium. We have every league covered, and we are certified by minor league baseball, and we actually are major league credentialed too. So we're in major league ballparks too. So it's an actual, you know, it's a company, and we do very well, and you know, we get a lot of good sponsors and stuff like that. So it helped us do this for a living besides covering. So we get to do it, you know, and do it good because we do it for a living. So we just do some different things too. Not only do we cover everybody in minor league baseball, you know, not just the top prospects, we bring you everything about them, not just their stats. When they're on the show and our player profile, when we write about them, you know what kind of foods they like. You know what they like to do on a Tuesday afternoon. You know what they do before the games. You know what they do in the off season. We like, because the fans want to know more than just stats, because you can look up stats on the computer. So we bring everything, and we study it all year round. We have shows all year round, and we meet up with players in the off season and do live shows with them, and it's real fun, you know, and the guys love it, and the families love it, and these guys are the future stars. You know, Mike Trout was in the minor leagues, you know, Stanton was in the minor leagues, Jose Fernandez was in the minor leagues. I mean, last year we did a couple of things with Michael Conforto, and look what he's doing now. I mean, so these guys are accessible to the fans also.
Oh, it's
when they're in the minors.
I live in the Princeton, New Jersey area, and I've been attending Trenton Thunder games for off and on for about 20 years. When I first moved down here, they were the Red Sox affiliate, and Nomar Garcia-Parra was the big star. And it was just so, you know, I'm a Yankee fan as Wayne is, and I was always interested in the minor leagues, you know, the minor leaguers, and you know, the progression up to the major leagues. But until I moved down here and really got a chance to watch on a daily basis and have the local newspaper follow the minor league franchise, I never really got how, you know, you see Bull Durham and whatnot, but you never really get into your living there and following it in the newspaper. And it's just such a wonderful, I mean, I'm in awe of what you've done and what you've built, because the minor league game is so remarkable. And like you said, it had been virtually ignored. I mean, how in God's name ESPN would be putting on the Little League World Series and just missing this whole area of young people playing baseball is crazy.
Absolutely.
But I just love the way you go to a Trenton Thunder game, and I'm not saying it's the greatest stadium or it's the greatest product or anything, but the fan friendliness and the bang for the buck, and you walk out of there just, you know, you're just so optimistic about the game we love because of the way they put this stuff on. And again, I'm not saying they do the most wonderful job. I'm sure there are, you know, stadiums and franchises that do a better job than the Trenton Thunder does. But it's just a great way to sell the game, and they do such a wonderful job.
Yeah, they do. And you're over in Princeton. You don't get over and see the Princeton Rays at all?
I have not. A lot of people go to Somerset. There are a bunch of stadiums around here.
Yeah, absolutely. In Jersey, they have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm on Staten Island, and I got the Staten Island Yankees.
Staten Island Yankees. I'll be there this year. I'm covering the New York Penn this year, so I'll be there. I have credentials for Staten Island and Brooklyn, so I'll be doing both. And I was in the Florida State League for 5 years.
We had Ron Bloomberg a few weeks ago. He's going to be at Jewish Heritage Night
Nice.
August 19th, I believe is what it was.
Yeah.
And well, actually, and we had Dan Szymborski on last week, and he's going to be there. I think it's June 19th. They're having a sabermetrics day at the Staten Island Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
So
And that's a beautiful stadium too, and so is Brooklyn.
it is. It's nice. Yeah, it's nice.
You guys are Yankee fans, so the Yankees have a tremendous farm system, right? The top 5 farm system, in my opinion.
Oh, do they really? I'm glad we're discussing this. I'm glad we're talking about this.
Oh yes, and they don't get the credit for it. Like, it's funny. I had a back and forth on Facebook with this guy who does a podcast with the guy who does who like produces our podcast. He does a different type of podcast. He's from Baltimore, and he's but he's not a true baseball fan. You can hear the way he talks that he doesn't really know what he's talking about. He'll grab a line here, a line there, and he'll think that this is fact and that's fact, and he'll expound on all of that. And I was telling him, and he's like saying, oh, the Yankees will never be any good. They got their aging guys. They have no minor league players ready to come up. And I'm like,
very good minor league system.
I know, and I'm telling him, I said, no, you got it backwards. I go, right now Baltimore is like near the bottom of the list.
Yeah, Baltimore's on probably the top bottom, like the 5 bottom. I mean, not top bottom, the 5 bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yankees are
now,
5 easily.
Let me ask you a question. An obvious prospect, that people here in New York probably want to hear about is Aaron Judge. He's, it looks like he's still adjusting.
I interviewed him twice. Great guy, good head on his shoulders. I'm 5'5", so I'm up to his belly button. So he's a huge dude. He's like 6'7", 6'8". He's like almost 300 pounds. I mean, the guy's an unbelievable specimen. And when he gets a hold of him, And I interviewed him in the Florida State League. When I was down there, and I seen him get into a couple of balls that went out. And I tell everybody there's only 2 guys that I've seen in the Florida State League hit a lot of home runs. And it was Giancarlo Stanton and Adam Brett Walker, the Twins, which is a first baseman outfielder. It's in Double-A now. And Aaron Judge is one of them, and so was Ozuna, Marcell Ozuna. Those are the 4 guys that laid into balls in the Florida State League. He has tremendous power. He's a very good hitter. He can get a little antsy every now and then at the plate, so he'll swing at some things that he shouldn't. But he's only, but he's not far. He's definitely not far. I think next year would be his good ETA. I know the Yankees have him for this year, and maybe September. I think if the Yankees continue to be close to 500, a little over 500, I don't think you'll see him. I think next year will be his time, and I think that he'll stay and he'll be up there for a while. But he's not the impressive guy in the minors. George.
Oh, I know who you're gonna. I know who you're gonna say. I know who you're gonna say. You're talking about.
I'm gonna guess you're not gonna say Sanchez.
No.
Sanchez is a very good catcher, but Mateo is the best minor league player you have in the system. He's a shortstop. He's unbelievable.
Yes, I knew that was coming.
Unbelievable.
Well, how far away is he?
Is Mateo?
2 years.
Mateo's young. Mateo's only 20 years old. I mean, he could be up next year too if he really wanted to. I mean, but I would wait 2 years on him. Just for a lot of reasons. One, you don't want to bring up too many. Well, the Yankees have no problem with money, so I'm looking at it from a point of view of teams that have problems with money. You don't want to bring all your stars up at one time because then they all hit arbitration at one time. But the Yankees wouldn't have an issue signing these guys, so it's not a big deal. But that's one of the issues. But the other thing is he's only 20 years old. And you want to see him get through some more levels. Right now he's in Tampa. I mean, he's batting like 312. He has 5 home runs in the Florida State League. That's like hitting 15 anywhere else at this point. 28 RBIs, 15 stolen bases, 8 triples and 4 doubles. The kid's unbelievable. He plays a solid shortstop. Solid. I'm telling you, he's going to make you. I know Yankee fans are going to have a heart attack hearing this, but he's going to make you forget a little bit about Jeter.
Who does he remind you of who plays shortstop these days, or in the recent past?
He's a little better. Not a little. He's better than Jose Reyes.
I knew you were going to use that comparison. Now let me ask you a question. The Mets also have
he's very good too. Rosario.
Would you now? I mean, compare. Would you? Who would you rate? One, would you say that their games are pretty close as far as the way their attributes? And
no, Mateo's better than Rosario. Mateo's better. And then I grew up a Met fan. I'm from Queens. But I'm not a fan of any major league team now because I know so many players that it's hard to be a fan of one team. But I never grew up a Yankee fan, and Mateo is better than Rosario. Rosario is going to be a phenomenal player, but Mateo's Jeter and Rosario is Reyes. Let's put it that way. I mean, like in that sense, like Jeter was always better than Reyes, even though Reyes would put up some better numbers sometimes than Jeter. It's just that's
so
just
So you're saying the Didi Gregorius era will not be long lived?
No, they can move him to second.
And move Castro to third.
Yeah, I mean they could do that
that's an interesting idea.
And then they could. I mean, because like Hundley doesn't hit, they don't have a third baseman. But that kid, I would leave him I would leave him alone. I let him go to Double-A next year. Tear it up there, and then invite him to camp the year after, and let him filter between Double-A and Triple-A. He's only 20 years old. There's no rush unless you need him, but he's phenomenal. And they have another guy that used to play shortstop, but he's starting to play a little second in the minors, and that's Tyler Wade. He's very good too. He's having a tough season this year, but I've seen him do some great things, and he's a very good player. And
where is he playing right now? Is he Double-A?
I think he might be in Trenton. Yeah, he's in Trenton.
Yeah.
And he's only 21. So he's another young one. And I really like Jordan Montgomery. I like him a lot. I don't know the Yankees don't talk about him too much, but he's very, very good. And I also like Cable Fair a lot. And he's not even a top prospect for them, but he's a tremendous pitcher. And Cable Fair, if you go look at his numbers, there's no ERA, and he's playing in Tampa. He's just lights out every time he comes in. And if you look at his stats, every year they're in the 1 ERA or lower, and there's a gap. He didn't play. He had freak accidents. He had Tommy John, and then he came back. And as he came back, he was getting out of his car in camp. Spring training, reached down to pick his bag up, and another player's girlfriend backed up and hit him.
Oy.
So, in the parking lot. So he was out for a while with that. When he came back from that, he had a thyroid issue, so they shut him down. And then on the way home, he had his appendix burst, and he had to pull over to a hospital and get his appendix out. So he had 2 years of just unbelievable bad luck, and now he's back, and he's tremendous. And he's healthy, and he's doing it, and he's not on the top prospect list, but I like him a lot. And, the only person I'm very upset that they got rid of was Rookie Davis. He was a tremendous pitcher, and I don't think you're going to keep Chapman long enough to really get anything out of it. And Rookie Davis was phenomenal, and they shouldn't have traded him to the Reds. But they have a tremendous farm system. They do. And
they do.
The Yankees farm system,
so
this is back when they had Williams and then.
You said, Frank, you said the Yankees had, in your estimation, approximately the fifth, most impressive minor league system.
That's where I have them ranked.
Who's your top three? Is it
the Twins, the Rays, Twins, Rays, and Braves are my top three. The Braves have a lot of good pitching.
Yeah, the Twins and the Braves could use some help immediately.
Yeah, they can't. They don't have it. Well, the Twins have people ready right now. I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know if but that's what it goes back to. Can they pay everybody when they bring them up? They look at the Mets situation. The Mets, I guess, can spend money. I don't know what the situation is with their ownership right now, but their starting rotation at the Mets level, that rotation will all hit arbitration right around the 2 years with each other. That's going to be $1 billion rotation. Who can afford $1 billion? I mean, Syndergaard's going to get almost 3. Steven Matz is going to get 2 and change. Zach Wheeler's going to come back and he's going to get 2. You got DeGrom that's going to get 2, and if Harvey ever puts it back together, he'll get 3. That's over $1 billion. You can't afford that. Nobody can afford that.
Nope.
So that's the Twins situation. You have Buxton that's up now. You have Sano that's up now. You have Kepler that's up now. You have Jose Barreras that they just brought up. I mean, how can they bring up all these other guys at the same time? And when all these guys hit arbitration at the same time, they can't afford them. So that's their issue. So that's why, but they have guys that are ready right now. A lot of guys. So that's why the Twins, when they bring these guys up next year, that system will drop to 7 or 8 in my list. They're just number 1 because of today. The Rays have the best farm system going forward because they're just tremendous. I mean, they have tremendous pitching. You just seen Blake Snell, which he did to the Yankees on a Saturday afternoon in New York. You have Jacob Farah. You have guys like they have a bunch of good hitters. I mean, that team is just stacked all around. The Rays have a very good system, all the way up through the system. So anywhere from 19 years old to 24 years old, they're stacked. And the Braves just they know what they're doing in pitching. They have a lot of good pitching. They got a lot of they got a lot of pretty good hitters. They have a couple of good hitters, Swanson, and there's a couple other guys, but that kid Newcomb, the pitcher, is unbelievable. And then after that, it goes to the Yankees. The Yankees are right there. The Reds are right there. I mean, my top 10 farm systems, the Red Sox are in there. The Texas Rangers are in there. Obviously the Mets are in there. The Marlins ain't far off. They're like 11. The Cardinals are always there.
The reason I think it's an interesting question, not just because you compile this and you give it so much thought. I think the Angels are going to have to think about moving Mike Trout. And if I'm Artie Moreno and the GM out there, I'm thinking I could probably get 5 ball players for this guy. And to me it's a really interesting question. Wayne, we were discussing this last week with Dan.
I'm gonna tell you no. Whatever you're gonna say.
How many?
I would never do it. I would never do it.
Never did.
I'll
tell you what.
Never trade Trout?
I want to know. I
would never trade Trout.
Not Trout. No, I wouldn't do it if I was the other team. I wouldn't do it if I was the other team.
No. I'm just the opposite. I wouldn't trade Trout, and I'll tell you why.
I wouldn't trade for him.
Most of the time, okay, these trades don't work out, and I feel as though. So you can get, you're going to have to, even if you get these great prospects, let's say only 2 of them work.
All right, let me ask you a question. Let me just interrupt for a minute.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Who won the World Series last year?
The Royals, of course.
How many of those players were homegrown on the 25-man roster? Maybe 20?
A good. Let's just say a lot of them.
20?
Perez.
Who they play against? Who they play in the World Series against?
The Mets.
How many of those players were homegrown out of the 25-man roster? About 20. Who were the other 3 hot teams in the playoffs last year? Astros and Texas Rangers, all homegrown players. The Cubs, homegrown players. The San Francisco Giants win every other year with homegrown players. The Cardinals are in the playoffs every year with homegrown players. The Yankees won all their championships, whether you believe it or not. A lot of un-Yankee fans think the Yankees buy championships, but they don't win when they bought their championships. Their core was always from their system. They added the Paul O'Neills, they added the Tino Martinez, the Brochuses, the Boggs, but they had a core. Okay. The name of the game right now is prospects.
Core. But here it is. You said they had a core. My thing is, you see why I think the Angels should not trade Trout is, I don't think, again, yes, you build with your prospects, you build with a core, but you trade Trout. I mean, thing is, how many guys are you really going to get? And there is some team out there that would dump, they would dump 5 of their top 10 prospects on the Angels and give them a couple of pretty decent major leaguers for Trout. You know, they would do that.
Well, the Red Sox would do it in a second. The Red Sox would do it in a second.
But if I was the Angels, I would not do that because it's still a crapshoot. Because you're not, as a major leaguers you're getting back, you're not getting back a Mike Trout. Okay, so it's a crapshoot there. Then, of course, you're talking about the minor league prospects. Even if there's some teams 5 of their top 10 prospects, it's still a crapshoot. I would rather, you know what? The problem is, I believe Mike Trout only has another 4 years on his contract, or can opt out in 4 years, something to that effect. But if I'm the Angels, I try to, you know, I try to build up my farm system. And granted, they got nothing now. You got to hope you get lucky, and someone who everybody is wrong about comes up, and you got to just try to, you know, fill in pieces, and hopefully, maybe in 3 or 4 years, you're back to having a team that you built around Trout. I'd rather have that team that's built around Trout. And I mean, the Yankees, they had their homegrown guys, but some of those guys were stars. When they went to the rotisserie style lineup is when they nosedived. They never made it out of the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, but see, the Yankees had a core group, Wayne. They had 4 or 5 core players.
Yeah, they had Williams.
Don't have a core.
Posada, they had Jeter. They had Rivera. They had Pettit.
Listen. I understand that the Angels have no core right now, but what I'm saying is, I'd rather hang on to Trout and try to recapture a core. I'd rather.
Oh yeah, no, they.
I'd rather.
But if I was
for 3 years with Trout, then I'd rather suck for 3 years with Trout than suck for 3 years with some prospects and not know. I'd rather have that Trout.
Oh yeah, I mean the fans are going to come out to see him. You're going to get fans to come out to see him, so you're okay with your fan base. But if you're a Yankee, you're thinking of Yankees. That's what you can ask. If the Yankees would trade for Trout, I mean, you're going to give up Mateo, you're going to give up Judd, you're going to give up Sanchez, you're probably going to give up James, and you're probably going to give someone like a Bird or a Snyder or something. And that's just the start. That's the talk. And I wouldn't do it. Because then you might, because what the Yankees are right now, 500 is what they are until they bring up these other guys to build around. And, you know, the Boston Red Sox, you bring up the Boston Red Sox farm system, it's very good. But the Boston Red Sox farm system, the ceiling is not as high as the Yankee farm system. You have guys like Judd and like Mateo, you haven't seen them even close to their ceiling. What those guys are doing in Boston, they're not far from their ceiling. So they're going to come up and give you a little bit of what they got in the minors, but their ceiling is lower. Mateo and Judd are going to be guys like a Trout, like a Jeter, like a Tulowitzki. That's what they're going to be. And the guys over in Boston, some of them are going to be like a Vince Coleman, with 70 stolen bases. A Jim Rice with 25 home runs. You know, not the big. You know, their ceiling's a little lower. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
What about Moncada in Boston?
He's going to be good. No, he's going to be good. He's going to be good, but I mean, he's going to be Chase Utley. I mean, he's not going to be, you know, Sandberg. He's not going to be something like that. When like I said, like Mateo has a chance to be a superstar. They have guys that are going to be stars, not superstars. Yankees have about 5 guys in their farm system that are going to be superstars. And Yankees farm system 9 years ago was terrible. Terrible. They really did a good job. In the last couple of years, they kind of bit their tongue and held themselves and not trade stars, not trade minor leaguers. And I like that because they're going to build a core again. They're going to be right back where they were when they win the World Series. And that's what they need to be.
I like that too. I always tell people, I say Harry Spira should have gotten a World Series ring as well. Do you remember Howard Spira? Howard Spira was the bookie involved, with the
Winfield
gambler who tried to get the dirt on Winfield, the Steinbrenner, and Steinbrenner was suspended from baseball for a few years, and so he had no say. And Gene Michael he held instead of dealt, and look what happened. So that's why I always say Howie Spira should have gotten the ring every year too.
Hey Frank, so Judge can hit the ball. Tell me about his outfield play.
It's good. I mean, he's not a liability. He can play the outfield. He has an okay arm. He'll do his thing. He's not going to be he's not like a Giancarlo Stanton that's going to gun people out at the plate, but he can throw. He can get it to the plate. And he's not a liability. He's not a liability at all. I see him playing about 100 games in the outfield and 55 games at DH, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not bad. His arm is above average, and his fielding is out of 100%. It's probably like around 60, 65. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not gonna jump walls. He's not gonna be a Trout. Let's put it that way, because he is a big dude. I mean, when you're 6'8", 6'7", and you're 290, you're not gonna,
Right.
Well, you don't have to jump as high as Trout anyway.
No, you don't. You definitely don't. But I mean, he's definitely going to hit you over 30 home runs in the major leagues with his eyes closed. If he's going to bat over 260, is the situation. I mean, that's what it's. Listen, I'll take the 40 home runs. I'll take the 110 RBIs. I'll take the 200 strikeouts, and I'll take a 260 batting average. I'll take that every year from him. If he gives me that, if you give me someone like a Mateo that's going to bat over 300 and steal me 60 bases, and you're going to give me somebody like a Bird and other guys around them, I'm okay, because then I know I have some averages there. So
why does he sound like
that guy?
Why does he sound like he sounds like a first baseman to me?
He does, and he looks like a first baseman.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play first. That's the thing. I mean, he doesn't. I don't know if he can.
I'll tell you, besides spring training, I probably have seen maybe 6 Aaron Judge minor league at-bats. Okay? And he actually, and of course, when I saw him play the field a little bit, he actually was, I thought he was pretty fluid for a big guy.
I mean, he's big for his size.
And the other thing I liked about him at the plate, now, in spring training, he was uncovered a little bit, but when I saw him in his minor league at-bats, what I liked about him, he wasn't swinging for the fences. He was going with the ball, and he was going with the pitch. He was hitting to all fields. He was smacking the line drives. And a guy that big that stays with it himself like that, the ball's going to go out anyway, and of course, at some point, his pitch recognition will get better anyway, and he'll be able to turn that into more power anyway. But in the minor leagues, I was pretty impressed. Like I said, when I saw him in some spring training at bats, he looked a little exposed, but that's to be expected. I mean, the guy came out of Double-A, so and I think also because of his status. I think people, I think the people on the other teams, the pitchers knew who he was, and and maybe they pitched him like a star. Maybe they pitched him a little more careful, and he was exposed.
Yeah,
so,
and he is 24 years old. I mean, that's a little bored. You want to bring him up by at least 25. You want your stars to be up at 25. So, I mean, he's about, I would say he's up next year. And for anybody that watches only big league baseball, only Major League Baseball, he's a little underneath. I think he could be a little underneath of Giancarlo Stanton. Maybe not with the batting average, but with the raw power. He has unbelievable raw power. I mean, he's going to hit him, and he's going to hit him where people don't. And they're going to be like, oh, my God, I can't believe how far he hit that. But he's probably going to bat more of a 260 hitter, 265. But he's going to hit the 40 homers. He's going to get the RBIs. He's going to stun you with 500-foot home runs. And for his size, you're right. He does move very good for his size. I do think that he'll be playing some DH in the big league level, and I do think eventually down the road when he gets over 30, he's going to be more of a DH.
Right. Hey, Frank, when you first saw Giancarlo Stanton play in the minor leagues, what'd you think?
I thought he was a star, superstar, easily. And I was one of his biggest critics. He didn't talk to me for 2 years. I used to park next to him in spring training, and he wouldn't talk to me for 2 years. And I was the biggest critic. I put him down a lot. He couldn't hit with runners in scoring position, and I'm the type of person that if you can't hit runners in scoring position, you can't score runs, you can't win games. I don't pay someone $18 million a year to bat 188 with runners in scoring position. I don't care if you hit 30 homers and you hit them 500 feet, all of them. I don't care. I'm not paying you $18 million. And he knew that. So we didn't talk for 2 years. He finally started talking to me recently. But but he's an unbelievable specimen. I mean, it makes you feel like less of a man when you look at him. But he is a tremendous ball player. He has all the talent in the world if he could play a full season. And right now he has it. And the last 2 injuries weren't his fault. Getting hit in the face and stuff like that wasn't his fault. But so he's healthy. It's some other people's fault that he's getting hurt. But he can put some. He's just disgusting. He's that good. And I seen him hit home runs in Roger Dean Stadium. I did my show from Roger Dean Stadium every year. So I seen him hit home runs over the clubhouse out in center field. And that is tremendous. If anybody ever seen Florida State League baseball, the only stadium you could hit home runs out of every now and then on a nice night down the right field line is Port St. Lucie, the Mets. Everywhere else, they do not leave the yard. 12 home runs would be a phenomenal season in the Florida State League, and he was hitting 20.
Speaking of other sluggers in the minor leagues, let's go outside the New York system. Well, he just got called up again. What about Joey Gallo? Where do you put a guy like that? I mean, do you think he's too much of a free swinger?
Gallo, yeah. I mean, a lot of people love Gallo. He's a good guy. First of all, he's a nice guy. A Nevada native, I think, and he's going to hit home runs. I don't know about his batting average. He plays a pretty good third. I don't know if he's ever going to stay there. I don't know if they're going to move him to the outfield. I don't know what they're going to do. He's probably playing the outfield now, isn't he? Is Beltran's playing the third over there, right?
But Beltran's the third. If he is getting in the lineup, he's playing in the outfield.
Yeah, so he might even stay out there. If he stays in the outfield, he'll stay a major leaguer, and he'll be fine. Because he hits home runs. Even if he bats 265, 270, he'll be fine. He does swing. He will strike out. I mean, he's going to strike out about 200 plus times unless he adjusts. If you can live with that, he'll be okay. I mean, he's not a bad boy. Hey, listen, if I had his talent, I'd be on the field, not talking baseball on the radio. So, I mean, but he's not. I like. There's other guys I like over him. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't see him hitting 265, 270. That's the whole thing. I personally think that if the Rangers are going to make a trade, if they are going to make a trade to help themselves because they want to make a run for it, he's a guy I would let go of. I would listen. Even though I'm a Yankee fan first, I'm a Mets fan second. I don't know if I'd want to see him, go to the Mets.
You wouldn't trade Harvey for him right now?
No, I wouldn't. But I tell you what. But let me tell you something. Last winter, there was talk about trading Harvey, and there was I don't know if there was any substance to this, but there was a rumor of Mookie Betts for Matt Harvey, and I was saying to myself that the Mets should do it. I was thinking the Mets should do it, and but most people here, were thinking, they'd have to give us more than Betts, but let's,
Yeah, looks pretty good.
We know how that is. Yes, we know how that is. So
I don't know.
You said you're from Queens. Where in Queens are you from?
Ozone Park.
Okay, no, I only asked this. I'm from Jackson Heights, and
Okay.
I mean, we have about 15 listeners, and I'd say about 10 of them come from Jackson Heights. So, just want to make the connection. Okay. So anyway, go ahead, Craig. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you didn't interrupt me at all. Frank, this is a tangential question. It doesn't have to do with the minor league players. I'm kind of interested in hot managerial prospects, and I was just wondering if you could comment on anyone you've seen, whether they're ex-ball players or whatnot. Anyone you've seen, single A, double A, triple A, any guys who might not be on our radar, somebody not a big name that we'd know who you could see managing, in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think Joey Cora can manage. I think that Schneider can manage. I think Wally Backman can manage. A couple of guys like that. I mean, those three guys right there are definitely guys that can manage. I think that Keith Hernandez would be a very good manager if he would decide to not take vacations all the time. That's the only reason why he doesn't manage. He doesn't like to work.
I got to tell you, I'm a Yankee fan, and I think that listening to a Met game, I hate to admit this, it's one of the best ways to spend the night. They're fantastic. I don't know if you guys.
Michael Kay ain't bad.
Well, at this point, I don't get anything because I have Comcast, and so I haven't gotten a Yankee game all season, except for when they play Sunday night against the Red Sox on ESPN. Michael Kay, yeah, he's good. I used to enjoy. I liked when the Yankees had McCarver for a while and Jim Cott. I don't even know who the lineup is now. Wayne, who is lighter? Is lighter there?
I mean, who do they have? They have O'Neill. They have David Cohn in there. They have Flaherty in there. They still have Singleton in there. And you know what? Right away, I'll say Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez as analysts kick the crap out of the Yankee analysts. I'll be the first to say it.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
they're a great.
The Met ones are a little better, but I like Michael Kay's voice. I don't know, that has nothing to do with him calling a good game, but I like his voice. Well,
I said analyst. I didn't say play-by-play. He's, it's a different, in a way, it's a little bit different animal. I just feel as though I think Darling and Hernandez, I think they just break down hitting and pitching and the play on the field. I think they break it down. What's the word? It's detailed. It's insightful, but yet it's simple. They just have that gift. I think they're just way ahead of their Yankee contemporaries there.
Yeah.
So now, Frank. Right now, are you based in New York or?
Yeah, I'm up here. This is my first year back after 7 years. So yeah, I'm back, and I'm in the Queens and Long Island area. I'm in Elmont, so
okay,
which is right near Belmont Racetrack, not far from there.
Yeah, you got a big horse.
I know.
You got a big horse race coming up.
I know. I actually have a favorite place to eat in Elmont on Hempstead Turnpike. It's called Martino's. Are you familiar with Martino's?
Yes, I actually went to school with the daughter. Yes, right across the street from McDonald's. Yes.
Yeah. It's right next to the Rite Aid. Really good food.
I went to Sewanaka High School.
Okay, so
which is up the block.
There we go. So
yeah.
So it's nice having somebody on with New York roots.
But if there's another pizzeria that's a little better than that on on Meacham Avenue, it's called Primavera. So if you go to Hempstead Turnpike where King of Burgos is, but you make the right and go down, it's on the right hand side. It's just a little better than Martino's.
Look, and you want to know something? I was just actually last night. I was at a union negotiation meeting, and there was a guy from my department who I don't see usually though, who lives in Franklin Square, and I asked him if he goes to Martino's, and he said he's never been there, but he said because there was just so many places over there, he says he's never been there. And he did mention, he said on Meacham Avenue, he says there's a lot of great, right around in that area, there's a lot of great places. Yeah. He mentioned Meacham Avenue. Look at that. Yeah. Small world. So
absolutely.
It's funny. I went
beautiful.
I went to SUNY Binghamton, and I went to half the school I went, half of my graduating class was from South Ozone Park and Howard Beach. I feel
That's
like
where I'm from. Yeah.
I feel like I went to John Adams High myself.
Yeah, I lived off of Atlantic and 88th. I was raised on 88th Street Park, but then when I became more of I would say like 7, 8 years old, we moved to the island, and I went to Covert Avenue, and then I went to Sewantica High School, and that's where Vinny Testaverde went, and that was it. And I grew up there, went to Nassau Community College, and then started doing things, baseball and things like that, and then took me around the United States a little, Arizona, Kansas City, Florida, and back. So,
That's
glad to be
terrific.
back.
That's really great.
Yeah. Definitely.
Now,
I'll give you a guy that you would like to look, if you want to listen to a guy that's going to make some waves in the big league level, and he's a Royal, but Ryan O'Haron. He's a very good hitter. I've seen him play a lot. I actually had a lot of conversations with him. Great kid from Texas, big kid, about 6'4", 200 and something pounds. He has some power, man. He can hit some home runs. I think he has double digits home runs right now, almost 30
What
RBIs.
position does he play?
Over 300.
Do
He
they
can play first in the
for
outfield.
him? Uh-huh.
So Momola
Hosmer's going to be there for a while.
Yeah, but he could play the outfield. And he is in, I want to say he's in Double A. Yeah, he's in Double A. He's in the Texas League. He's batting like 317. He has about 10 homers, 20-something, almost 30 RBIs. He has a couple of triples, doubles, and he is, so he does his thing. He's a very, very good hitter, pure hitter. All fields. He is a lefty. Good kid. So he's somebody to look out for. There's a couple of real good sleepers down there, not top 30 prospects. Beginning of the season, I put all my money on Zach Curtis. I said Zach Curtis is a relief pitcher. He was the number one relief pitcher in minor league baseball last year. He didn't get the award, but he should have. He led all saves in the whole Diamondback organization. He had the most saves. Tremendous, nicest guy you ever meet. His height was a little issue, about 5'10". I had an argument with Jonathan Mayo about him. He didn't put him on the top 30 prospect list because of his height. Well, he's in the big leagues now, and I don't think he's given up a run. He got called up, and he's been in like 8 games.
Oh, wow. That's
So
terrific.
he's the guy I put my money on.
Out of the guys who were rated, let's not go top 100. Let's say go top 30. I know everybody's list is different on the top 30, but out of the guys who are in the top 30, who do you look at on that listing and say to yourself, they're gonna break your heart? They're just not gonna be who everybody hypes them to be. Do you
not
have
be
anybody
good.
like
Okay.
that?
I would go. I'll narrow it down to the top 10. I would say the number one kid from the Washington Nationals, the starter. Yeah, Lucas.
Wait. From the Nationals. Okay, okay. You said the top. Okay, I guess you can take Seager off that list. Okay. Yeah, you had me worried for a little bit. I got.
No.
I don't do.
No.
I don't do fantasy ball. I do a stat replay game called Diamond Mind, and and I went kind of high with Seager. But
Seager's good.
So
and his brother's good. Good genes.
So Giolito, you don't think you think he's going to break their heart?
I mean, if you're looking at number one prospect of all of minor league baseball and number one, I mean, and top 10, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to, I think he's going to be like, like a maybe a 11-10 with a 4.02 ERA type of pitcher. That's what I see from him.
So he's going to be like a number 4 starter.
He's going to be like a Steve Traxel.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Hopefully he'll work a little. Hopefully he'll work a little faster though.
Yeah, a little fast. Yeah, I mean he's only 21. I mean he's a big kid. He has a good body frame. He's only 21. He does have a 12.6 curveball, which is really good. But I mean, his minor league he has a career 3.50 ERA. I don't know if that's going to cut it. I don't know. But I mean, and that I think on that top 10 list, it's only him and Joey Gallo that I think could be disappointing. Everybody else in the top 10 are phenomenal. And you know something? If you told me back when I was like, I had my first child and and they said, hey, what position? I would say I would want him to be a shortstop or a catcher. I'll tell you, there's a tremendous amount of great shortstops in the minor league system. You can't have a shortstop right now. Every team has at least 5 of them on the top 30 prospect list. And the top 10, J.P. Crawford, Orlando, Arcidia. You have Dansby Swanson. You have Tier Turner
Bregman,
from the Nationals.
Alex Bregman.
Yeah. And Brandon Rogers.
Yeah.
That's top 10 guys right there. Those are the top 10 of minor league baseball. Forget their team. J.P. Crawford's for real. He's for real. I've seen him play. He's tremendous. This guy goes up like he knows he's going to be he's going to be a big leaguer, but he just knows he's just wasting time when he's just that good and that cool about it. J.P. Crawford he's unbelievable. He's off the charts how good he is. And that's why I don't really put him at the top of my list, because he thinks he's that good, and sometimes I don't like that. But this kid Turner over in Washington, he's really good too. He is really, really good.
And it's just crazy how he got traded. He was that player to be named later. But now talking about another possible heartbreaker. Do you think Mark Appel has turned the corner a little bit?
I don't know. I don't know. I got to see a little more. Give me a little more on that. I'm gonna hold off on him a little.
I never, I never saw him pitch in college, but everything I read about him, and it was just something just said to me that, he wasn't gonna live up to the hype of being the first pick of the draft.
I think that
something there.
I think they need to make him a reliever, like they did with Nick Birdie over there in Minnesota. They put him down to a reliever, and he's been phenomenal. He was terrible as a starter. He was a number 1 or 2 pick 3 years ago, and he's not doing his thing. But the other guy that I think is going to be people are going to be very upset about. Now, it might be a little early on him, but he is 22 years old. He is young, but I watch him pitch, and it scares me a little. And I'm hoping he gets better, because I kind of liked him in the draft. But Carson Fulmer from Vanderbilt for the White Sox, he has some work to do. He does. He's going to have to really. And I think he's in the top 30 prospect list of all of minor league baseball. But I think he has like a 6 ERA. The batting average against is like 260, which is not great for minor league. He walks a lot of guys. I think he walks like one guy every 2 innings. And for a starter, that's racking up walks. You're walking almost 6 guys in 9 innings is not great. 5 guys in 9 innings. I don't know. He has some work to do. I know he's 22 years old. He has a real good. He looks good. His delivery is nice, but I don't know. He throws 93 to 97. When you throw 97, you would think that you could get guys out, and it's not happening. I don't know. There's not a lot of movement on his pitches, which scares me. Frozen ropes at 97 miles per hour at the big league level, and beach balls, softballs. So he's someone in the top prospect list. One of my favorite guys on the top prospect list is Alex Reyes. I love Alex Reyes. I love the way he strikes people out. He's just. I've seen him pitch so many times, and he looks so good on the mound. He strikes out a ton of guys, and he on the Cardinals, and he's really good. And Clint Frazier over there, the outfielder for Cleveland, is really good. He's a can't miss. He's going to be a superstar. A couple of guys like that. There's a couple of guys on there that Brent Honeywell for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's unbelievable. What he can do, he's really, really good. There's some guys that just have it. They just have it. Tyler J of the Twins is really good too. There are just some guys out there that it's almost not fair that you're that good. You don't have to work on it. It's really disheartening that some guys have to work so hard to have the ounce of ability that you have, and it's just one of those things. I mean, when you get to Double A is when you see what the real deal is. That's the real deal. I mean, Double A is where all the stars are. All the future stars are Double A. I always tell people, because they always get on my case when I tell everybody that Double A is where all the stars are. They go, what about Triple A? Triple A is so much better. No, Triple A is like, and I describe it just like this. Triple A is like the doctor's office. Double A, when you get there, you wait in the waiting room. That's Double A, and they don't want you to think you wait an hour, so they bring you into that other room and you wait for the doctor in there. That's Triple A. You wait for the other doctor in the regular doctor room. Triple A is like a piece of candy you get before dessert to hold you over. They just do that to players to say, hey, we don't have room for you yet, but you're good and you're on your way, so we're going to put you in Triple A. You're going to be there with ball players trying to get back to the big leagues, guys that maybe are about to retire that are trying to get on a roster. That's what you're going to be with. Double A is pure stars. It's the best league. Just look at the Southern League and the Carolina. I mean, look at where Chattanooga Lookouts. Look at the Montgomery Biscuits, the Jacksonville Suns. They're stacked with stars, and that's where it comes. If you can make it in Double A, and you're someone, especially in the top 100 prospect list, you're going to the big leagues and going to be a star. Because High A is okay. They're tough places to play, and they don't look at your numbers. They look at how you progress day to day. You ever see a guy bat 220 in High A and still go to Double A the next year, and then they bat 310? Because the leagues are tough in High A. The stadiums are bad. The Florida State League is terrible for hitters, terrible, and they still move them up and they do good. Double A is if you make it with all those pitchers and everything, you're going to be a good player. That's where you have to start looking at people. And
that's a great way of putting it. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
Well, I'm hoping that we can touch base with you again
in
a month or so and see how everyone's progressing. Do you have any plans of coming down to see the Trenton Thunder? We'd love to catch a game with you.
Yeah, we have actually two of our guys actually cover from 27 Outs go there, and Zach. He does a show. He does Feeling Home for us. It's another radio show, and he has a co-host, Sam. He actually calls himself the Hebrew Hammer. So they're really good. They're really good. And they go to that stadium. So I try not to go to stadiums that I have other people at, because especially when it comes to the Yankee organization, because they don't like to give out more than 2 credentials for one company. So I try not to step on other people's toes, but I love to come down to Trenton. I would love to see the Double A team over there and see some of the guys I got to see down here in Tampa, because I was here last year and I dealt with Tampa and the Florida State League, and I built a relationship down there with the whole league and all the teams. So yeah, I wouldn't mind coming over there. I will be in Staten Island, and I will be in Brooklyn a lot this year. So, and I'm going to hit Hudson Valley once or twice. Yeah, definitely. And I do want to check out the Yard Goats new stadium over there in Hartford. So I'll definitely be doing those 4. I want to see Hudson Valley. I never got to see it yet. I've been to a lot of New York Penn League stadiums, Batavia, Auburn, State College, all those, but I didn't see Hudson Valley. And now obviously the Yard Goats with that new stadium, I definitely want to see that. But I'll be mostly in Brooklyn and Staten Island, and I have credentials over there, so yeah, I'll definitely be over there.
Okay. Excellent. Frank, we hope to have you on again. Yes.
Absolutely. Anytime, just let me know.
You got it. And thank you very much for coming on.
Absolutely. You guys have a great night.
You too.
Okay.
Thank
you
for your
Frank.
time.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that wraps up this week's show. I don't know about you, Craig, but I loved it. It was great. We got great info. I hope when our audience listens to this, I hope it gives them a whole new insight and maybe a whole new way of looking at minor league ball. Well, I think Craig left too, and I'm talking to myself. Well, good night, everybody. See you next week.